I am on a mission. I want to help you find your first or next web design client. So finding clients is stressful, and I absolutely understand the difficulties in finding clients. And that's exactly one of the reasons why I run a Finding Clients Challenge twice a year for all my students, so we can work on it together. We have accountability and we can help each other find our first or next client. And now I want to help you. So for the next few weeks on this channel, I am going to be focusing on where and how to find clients so that you can stop wondering if A, will you ever get a client, or B, will you ever get a second client or consistent clients. But first, I'm going to ask something of you. I have put a poll in the community tab. If you could go and check that out, answer that poll, it will help me help you. Okay, so to kick off this series, I'm going to tell you how I found my first web design client. And while we're at it, I'll tell you how I found my second and my third as well. My hope is that it will inspire you to think of other ways that you can find clients. So my first client was actually a friend. He was retiring from the military and starting his own small business. Now, this being my first paying client, I decided to use a WordPress theme, and I struggled to make any sort of customizations. It was so frustrating not knowing how to tweak the website and make it exactly the way that I wanted, which, on a side note, this was the exact reason why I decided to learn how to build websites, WordPress websites, entirely from scratch. And it's also why I teach my students how to build websites from scratch. So here's the thing, learning to build WordPress websites from scratch gives you a really full picture and really good understanding of how WordPress works from the back end. And it means you can charge a lot more. We're all big fans of that because you know all that detail and you know how everything is put together in the back end. You can charge more because you know how to customize a theme. You know how to fix anything. You know how to dive into the code and figure out that one little thing that isn't working and then fix it for your client. And like I said, charge more. So as I mentioned, this first client was a friend, and that is why it is so important that when you first get started, you tell everyone, because you never know if a friend or a family member might need a website, or they might know someone who needs a website. Now, my second client was actually my mother-in-law in the UK. So you never know who might need a website. She runs a nonprofit in the UK, and this was the first website that I built entirely from scratch using underscores. Many of my students' first clients are friends and family, so this is a really fantastic way to get started. So moving on to my third client, this was a developer role with an agency. And for this agency, I did all sorts of things. I built websites, I customized websites, I fixed issues. If it was techie or geeky, you name it, I did it. So this client I actually found in a Facebook group, and I learned very quickly that there are so many potential clients in Facebook groups. I worked with this agency for about 6 months, and every couple months I kept raising my rates. I ended up moving on from working with this agency because when I first started with them, I was charging $20 an hour. And within 6 months, I was easily charging $75 an hour. So after those first 3 clients, then all my clients were either from friends or family or referrals from past clients or from Facebook groups. Okay, so now it is your turn. I'm going to give you 2 action steps that I would like you to take after this video. Tell everyone. I cannot stress this enough. Go tell your friends, your family, your neighbor, your local small business owner, anyone that you can have a conversation with. Tell them about what you're doing now, without being too salesy, but let them know that this is what you do, because you never know who might need a website, and I guarantee you more people do than you think. Next, I want you to go and join Facebook groups and get out there and network. As I mentioned earlier, there are lots of jobs, lots of clients out there in Facebook groups. I suggest you join a handful of business groups and maybe join some Facebook groups where it's a particular niche that you might want to work with. Go in there and be helpful, add value, answer questions, help people out. Whatever it is, whatever it has to do with websites or WordPress, just go in there and show up, be your awesome self, network, like I said, add value. People will notice this and they will remember you. If you see a job posting, be sure to leave a thoughtful response and an action step for them to contact you. Thanks so much for watching. And as I said at the beginning, please head up to the community tab to answer the polls so I can help you find your next client. If you're looking for what to watch next, be sure to check out my video on tips for discovery calls so you can nail the initial client interaction on that discovery call.